Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Salem Rain. Today I wanted to show you something a little different. I'm refinishing these 4 dining room chairs. I will be painting them, putting a clear coat protective finish over top to make them more durable. I'm also going to be recovering the seat covers. So if you're still watching, let's get going. The first thing that I'll be doing is removing this swag light from above the dining room table, because I'm actually going to be putting the dining room chairs on top of the table to paint them. This is a 1-bedroom apartment. There's no space. I gotta keep them away from the cats and out of harm's way. This is my workshop, home, all in one. So here we go. I've covered the dining room table with an old shower curtain because that's what I had. It's washable, it's reusable, and it's going to protect the top of the dining room table, which I'm not refinishing because I've already done that, and I don't want to do that again. I'm just about done removing the seats from the chair frames using the appropriate screwdriver. I'm putting the screws into this plastic baggie so I don't lose them. Success! Right here is the paint and supplies that I'll be using to complete this project. This is a 2-inch angled brush. You can use any type of brush that you like or already have. I'm using a water-based primer, a water-based paint, and a water-based polyurethane. So everything is easy to clean up with water. Finishing grit sanding block. I'll just be using this a little bit later on. I'll explain what I'm using it for. But before I start painting, what I want to do is just give these chairs a light wash. I just have a tiny squirt of dish soap in a bowl of warm water. Wring the rag out really well. Whatever's stuck on these chairs, I'm going to get all that off first, make sure they're nice and clean to apply the 1 coat of primer. The chairs are clean. So now I can mix up the primer. You can mix up your primer using a stir stick, or you can just dance around and mix it up yourself. I like my primer shaken, not stirred. Now I'm ready for the primer. All I'm going to do is paint the 4 chairs, 1 coat of primer, let it dry for 2 hours, and then they will be ready for the blue paint. And just like that, the chairs are almost done. Of course you can wear gloves. It might look a little patchy, blotchy, but that's all it's needed. The primer is just going to act as a bonding agent for the paint to adhere to. It's done. I just cleaned up my brush, just with some soap and water. That's all it takes. If you wash your brush right after using it, it'll stay looking like new. Always lay your brush flat to dry. If you lean it upwards, the water just gets into the base and it will flay out everywhere. So nice and flat, and your brush will stay in good shape. I love refinishing furniture. It's a great way for me to add my own creative stamp and style to the furniture I have. 90% of the furniture that's in here, I actually found on the street. I find it, I drag it home, fix it up, and then I refinish it. The piece that's behind me, I actually found in an alley, and it didn't have a back to it. So I just went to the hardware store, bought a board, stuck it on the back, and then I refinished it. The dining room chairs, when they're done, are going to look very similar to the piece that's behind me. I'm ready to paint them with blue ceiling paint. It's time to paint. I've got my paint ready here in my bucket that happens to have a very handy magnet brush holder built in. You can use any kind of bucket, container, or whatnot to house your paint. Pretty simple. I'm just gonna dip my brush in just a little bit to start painting. And just like that, the first coat is done. I'm gonna let this dry, put the second coat on, really quick second coat. Then I'll show you how I do the clear glass finish. The blue paint is finished. I did do 2 coats, I let it dry, and now I'm ready to start the polyurethaning. Polyurethane is a type of resin, and it just adds a really durable finish to whatever you are painting. There's different types of polyurethane. There's an oil-based and water-based. I'm using a water-based because it's low odor and it's easy to clean up just with soap and water. It's easy to work with, not a high traffic item. So the water-based polyurethane is more than adequate, and it will be a very durable top coat. I'm going to do 4 coats of that. It is recommended to do 3 coats of a polyurethane. I'm doing 4 because I want a really thick glass-like finish, similar to the piece that's over here, that blue piece. This is the polyurethane. You can see that it's quite milky. It's not translucent, it's quite opaque. However, it does dry completely clear. Clear and hard. I have my polyester brush. It's a mid-range kind of a brush. It is recommended that you use a slightly higher quality brush. The application you want to be smooth and streak-free. I do have a finishing grit sanding sponge, so just on the off chance that I do a coat of polyurethane and for whatever reason dust and maybe bugs or something might get stuck in the finish, I'll do a coat of polyurethane on the chair, I'll let it dry for 2 to 3 hours, and then I'll take a look. I might just do a little bit of a sand to show you how easy it is. It's not a big deal. And then you just use a dry rag and make sure that all the debris is off. And then do another coat of polyurethane. So here we go. Kitten? Okay, no. He always wants to help. This is Lincoln. We call him Kitten though, because he acts like a kitten. No. Kitten butt. Okay, go away. Go away. Always stir your polyurethane. Don't ever shake the polyurethane. If you shake it, that will create bubbles, and you don't want the bubbles in there. You would have to wait a day for it to settle again. And if you brush it on, it'll be all bubbly and gross. You don't want to do that. Just stir your polyurethane. When you're applying it, it's good. You'll see me run into the kitchen and I'll just stir it again with my stir stick just to keep all the resin and everything well mixed. It's heavy and it'll sink down to the bottom. I can see cat hair flying as I'm doing this. So I probably will have to sand the cat hair off. Dipping my brush and you just paint it on. Nice and even. Just doing a light coat. Don't go vertical and then horizontal. Just choose a direction and stick with it. I like to just make sure that there's no drips or anything. If I see a drip, just go in there and squish it out, push it in, or smear it around. You don't want any drips. If you don't catch the drips and they harden, you might have to sand that. Create less work for yourself and just do a light, even coat. As you can see, the chairs are almost done. 4 coats of polyurethane, and I've done 3 of the seat covers, and now I'm going to show you how I did that. I have everything I need here set up and ready to go. I have the remaining seat cover. The first thing I need to do, of course, is remove the old upholstery. I did this about 1.5 years ago. It's just time for a fresh look. Kitten Bart, come on. Get out of here. Get out of here. I just need to remove all these staples. And to do that, I'll just use a tool I have lying around, which is a flathead screwdriver. I'll just go underneath each one and pop them out. I have the fabric, of course. That's very important. I've cut the fabric to the appropriate size using my fabric shears. I also have the staple gun. This is just a basic staple gun, just manual. It's not electric or anything fancy. And I have the appropriate sized staples, 1/4 inch staples, and that's it. So I'm just going to start by removing all these staples. A pair of pliers comes in handy too, just to yank them out if you're having issues with it. And just like that, the old seat cover is off. Just making sure there's no staples remaining so the cats don't play with them or possibly eat them. I have my fabric down, the seat cover positioned so that I have even overhang on all sides. The seat cover batting is positioned nicely. I actually bought extra cushion the last time I recovered these just to make it a little bit more padded. This is the original, the yellow stuff, and I put this white batting over top a year and a half ago. I have my staple gun is loaded with the appropriate size staples. I'm ready to start tacking this down. Because I'm by myself, it's a little trickier. And of course, if you have another set of hands to help you at home, I would say get that help. But you can also do this on your own. It's not too bad. I'm going to start by working on the front of the seat cover. I'm going to start by tacking down right in the middle here. You don't really want to pull too tight to get started because you're going to create tension when you do the back side, or whichever side you choose to start with. If you pull too tight and you staple across and you're pulling in specific areas while you staple gun, you're going to create too much tension and scalloping. So you're going to get all these little bunches. You want to just start with a very even amount of tension. I recommend just even smoothing it over with your hand and just starting. The beautiful thing about staples is if you do get scalloping or lumpiness in your upholstering, you can just remove the staple and try again. Just make sure it's flat, and there we go. We'll do one toward the end here. You can lean on it if you want. Looks pretty good to me. Just using my hand to smooth it across. Pull and smooth. Now that I like what I see, I'll go in between and put a couple extra staples in just to make sure it's nice and secure. And then I'll show you how I do the corners. I'll start with the corners in the front of the seat. The first thing I like to do is pull the fabric straight towards me, and I'll see how much I have excess. So I can see that I can just cut this straight across using my fabric shears and get rid of some of the bulk right away. Now I want to get rid of some of this material, because when I have this folded over, I don't need all this material underneath this top flap, which I will be stapling down. What I'll do is I'll cut slits just straight across here on both sides. Just like that. And then I will cut straight down here, a nice straight line. And remove that excess. So I can see I have a nice, fairly flat corner. You can even staple this area down a little bit more just so it's even more secure, and it will create an even nicer line in the front. pinch down at the base, and I'm just lightly pulling down. That looks like a very nice edge to me. I'm happy with this little tail here. Staple it in place. I'll just tack this down just so it doesn't fray. Nice and secure. It looks good. So I'll just do the same thing for the 3 remaining corners. Obviously this is the underside and won't be seen, but if you want to clean up a little bit of the excess material here, you can do that if you like. I will. I'm not a professional upholsterer, but I think this turned out pretty good. It's not very difficult. I think you can give it a try if you feel up to it. This was a pretty quick project. I hope that this video maybe has given you some inspiration for the next time you look at a piece of furniture in your home that might need to be refinished, that you can tackle the job. I've been doing this for years. I have a lot of fun doing it. It's nice to be able to put your own creative stamp on what's in your own home. You can do anything. That's what's so fun about it. And you can change it at any time. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you again next time.